Football is a sport of moments. The goals, the glory, the trophies, the nights we remember forever. But behind all of that lies a part of the game nobody wants to talk about. Not the tactics, not the money, not even the VAR ruining everyone's weekend, but something more cruel, more irreversible, more tragic: injuries. They don't discriminate. They don't care if you're a superstar or a teenager. They don't care if you're destined for greatness. They arrive in an instant and they can take everything away. Some of the greatest footballers of all time didn't lose their careers to age, or decline, or lack of dedication. They lost them because their bodies couldn't keep up with their talent. And nobody symbolised this more than English football's most famous stick note, Darren Anderton. A gifted, creative player with vision and technique far beyond most of his era. Yet he became a punchline, not because he wasn't good enough, but because his body betrayed him, again and again. His story was painful, but it wasn't unique. And that brings us to this. Welcome to Football Central. Today you're about to witness some of the most heartbreaking, unbelievable, and inspiring injury stories in football history. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and hit the bell. Okay? Let's do it. Football's most injured players. Ronaldo Nazario. Before we talk about anyone else, we have to start with the most devastating case of them all. Ronaldo Luis Nazario de Lima, or Fenomeno. To understand Ronaldo's injury, you first have to understand what he was before them. At 17, he was tearing apart the Brazilian league for Cruzeiro. At 18, he was dominating Dutch football at PSV. At 19, he became the youngest FIFA World Player of the Year in history. At 20, at Barcelona, he produced one of the greatest seasons ever witnessed in the sport. He wasn't just scoring goals, he was redefining what was possible. Explosive speed, impossible agility, frightening strength. Defenders weren't stopping him, they were bouncing off him. People were calling him the next big thing. They were calling him the next Pele. And some said he might even go further. But then, the knees. At Inter Milan, his patella tendon, the tendon that lets you walk, jump and sprint, snapped. It wasn't a sprain, it wasn't a tear, it was a complete collapse. Doctors say that what Ronaldo suffered was the sort of injury that ends careers instantly. But he didn't quit. He came back. And then in his first game back, the same knee exploded again, on live television, in front of the entire world. Ronaldo missed almost 2 seasons, yet somehow this man crawled out the darkness, dragged himself to the 2002 World Cup and scored 8 goals, winning the tournament and the Golden Boot almost by sheer willpower. That's why Ronaldo isn't just a legend, he's a miracle. But here's the tragedy. That version of Ronaldo we saw in the late 90s, the alien-like force of nature, we only got to see him for a few years. Imagine those extra 159 games he missed. Imagine those years at Inter. Imagine the goals that never came. Ronaldo was still one of the greatest players of all time, but he should have been the greatest. No question. Stevan Jovetic. Jovetic had everything. He burst onto the scene at Fiorentina. Elegant dribbles, powerful strikes, a brain years ahead of his age. When Manchester City bought him, they believed they were signing the future of their attack. But his body had other plans. Muscular tears, recurring calf injuries, ankles that never healed fully, 35 separate injuries. Every time he built momentum, another setback arrived. Every time fans thought this is his season, another physio report came out. He still had moments of brilliance at City, Inter and Monaco, but injuries robbed him of becoming a global star. There's nothing sadder in football than talent you can see but that can't survive the physical demands of the game. Arjen Robben. And here we have the opposite story. A man who fought the injuries and won. Robben is one of those players who were simply good to be destroyed. At Chelsea, he dazzled. At Real Madrid, he flashed brilliant. But at Bayern, when he finally got his body under control, he became unstoppable. Yet, look at the numbers. 58 injuries, 243 matches missed. Robben should not have had the career he had. But his mentality, his discipline, his obsession with rebuilding his body, that's what saved him. He became a Champions League winner, a Bundesliga serial champion, one of the greatest inverted wingers ever, a Bayern legend for life. Robben is proof that injuries can slow a genius, but they can't erase one. Jack Wilshere. If Ronaldo is the great tragedy of fulfilled greatness, Jack Wilshere is the tragedy of unfulfilled greatness. At 19, he outplayed both Xavi and Iniesta in the Champions League. The entire world said, this kid is going to be one of the best midfielders of his generation. And then football's cruelest chapter began. Ankles shattered, fibulas fractured, surgery after surgery after surgery. Wilshere didn't lose his career because he lacked ability. He lost it because the game took too much from him too quickly. He became a symbol of what could have been, and maybe the saddest English talent story in the last 20 years. Marco Reus. Reus is beloved because he's human. He stayed loyal to Dortmund when he could have gone anywhere. He became their leader, their hero, their emotional heartbeat. But the injuries. Hamstrings, ankles, abductors, ligaments. Reus missed 3 major international tournaments during the prime of his career, one of them being Germany's World Cup triumph. And yet, he still produced golden years, still won trophies, still carved his name into Bundesliga history. Vincent Kompany. When Kompany was fit, he was the best defender in the Premier League. Not one of the best. He had it all. Leadership, intelligence, strength, timing, and technique. But his hamstrings were untrustworthy. His calves betrayed him over and over again. His muscles gave way at the worst possible times. And yet, despite everything, he captained Manchester City through their greatest ever era. He lifted Premier League titles. He scored one of the most iconic goals of the decade versus Leicester. He's proof that greatness doesn't require perfect health, just perfect timing. Franck Ribéry. Ribéry was chaos personified. He didn't dribble, he danced past players. He didn't pass, he sliced defences open. But 72 injuries, that should have stopped him. And yet, Ribéry delivered every time Bayern needed him. He built a legacy of titles, assists, magic moments, and unforgettable flair. And it's true, he should have won the Ballon d'Or in 2013. Everyone knows it. Neymar Jr. Neymar is the greatest player of the last decade who never got his uninterrupted prime. He was built for superstardom, built to be the heir of Messi and Ronaldo, built to dominate world football. But the injuries. Metatarsals fractured repeatedly, ankles sprained and re-sprained, muscles torn, bones cracked. And with every injury, another year slipped away. Yet, even with all of that, Neymar still produced a career most players would die for. Champions League winner, record-breaking transfer, Brazil's all-time top scorer, and over 400 goals. Imagine him fully fit from 2017 to 2021. He could have genuinely won multiple Ballon d'Ors. Abu Dhabi. One of the saddest what-if stories in modern Premier League history. Arsene Wenger once said, "The Abbey had the talent of Patrick Vieira, but with even more technique." The tackle that destroyed his ankle early in his career changed everything. From that moment, his body never healed properly. Knees, hips, ankles, calves. The man suffered every possible setback. But still, every time he managed even 10 minutes on the pitch, you could see the talent was still there. Diaby wasn't unlucky, he was robbed. And so were we. Now we move on to something else. One of the most unbelievable stories in football history. Meet Carlos Enrique Raposo, the man who pretended to be injured for 20 years. Yeah, I know. Madness personified. Let me tell you. Carlos Kaiser Raposo is football's greatest con artist. A striker who built a 20-year career without actually even playing. Nicknamed Kaiser, he started at Botafogo and Flamengo, then got a move to Puebla in Mexico where he didn't play a single minute, and that became his entire strategy. Kaiser looked fit, had friends in high places, and perfected the art of the fake injury. He'd sign short deals, claim he needed fitness training, then pretend to pull his hamstring whenever real sessions began. A friendly dentist even backed him up with bogus medical excuses. To boost his value, he charmed journalists into writing made-up stories and carried a toy mobile phone, rare at the time, to stage fake calls from foreign clubs. He lied about playing in Argentina, pretended he'd won the Copa Libertadores, and even claimed a spell in France with Ajaccio. In reality, he never played there. He just took photos in a borrowed shirt. His wildest moment came at Bangu, where he was told to finally play. Instead, he started a fight with fans during the warm-up, got sent off before even touching the ball, and somehow earned a contract extension. He popped up at Fluminense, Vasco, and even an indoor team in the US. And always the same routine: injuries, phone calls, excuses, and zero football. Kaiser's entire career was one long bluff, and he got away with it. Somehow. You've just seen some of the most injured players of all time. Players that have been on the physio's bench as much as they've been on the football pitch. We've seen Abu Diaby spending over 1700 days injured and never really kick-starting his career, and Arjen Robben actually having a fantastic career whilst being injured for over 1500 days. But for me, we need to talk about Ronaldo. He burst onto the scene from Brazil at a time when we were all wanting a world beater. And he was that, and so much more. He totally demolished the Dutch league with PSV, then became El Matador in Catalonia with Barcelona. He had defenders scared. He scored fantastic goals, only for all that to be taken away when we were just getting to see the best of him. His 1998 World Cup was stolen from him by illness, and the following years were also lost to ravaging knee issues. But for him to come back from all that, to dominate and win a World Cup, and still capture our hearts and be spoken about in such high regard to this day, shows us that we really missed out on possibly the greatest ever player. Muito obrigado, o fenomeno. Today football is faster, unforgiving, the calendar never stops. More games, more travel and more pressure. Bodies pushed to the limit week after week and players break down, careers end early. The body can only take so much, recovery is brutal and longevity is rare. Every sprint, every tackle, every collision takes its toll. And for most, the clock runs out before the story is finished. But for some, like Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, Lewandowski and Modric, seem to be built of sterner stuff. They are the lucky few, the outliers, the survivors. They bend but don't break. They adapt, they endure. But for everyone else, injuries shape their story. Sometimes they overcome it, sometimes it breaks them, and sometimes, like Ronaldo, they rise above the impossible, they defy doctors, they defy time, and still carve their name into eternity. We've come to the end now, and hope you've enjoyed the video. If so, please like and subscribe and click the bell. It helps the channel to grow and lets me keep making deep dives like this. Which injured player do you think had the greatest lost potential? Let us know in the comments. Anyhow, it's time to go now. Thank you for watching. See you next time on Football Central. Stay safe and take care.